Hey, what is going on, you guys? Welcome to another episode of the Trainer Talk. Today, we have kind of a deep topic, something that we hear a lot when we meet with people for consultations is we'll ask a lot about like what the person's goals are, what they struggle with, and where they would like to go with their health and fitness. And 9 times out of 10, a lot of people say that their relatives such as their mom or dad, maybe their grandma or grandpa, had some kind of health issue such as heart disease, diabetes. Maybe they're just overweight or obese and they don't want to end up like that. So the topic for today is, as a parent, especially if you have some younger kids, toddlers, even in middle school or high school, do you want to be the parent whose kid grows up saying, I want to be healthy and fit like my mom and dad? Or do you want to be the parent whose kid says, I don't want to end up unhealthy and unfit like my parents, and seek out other people to help them become healthy and fit? And I think that's a very, very powerful topic because it happens every single day. We experience it 9 times out of 10 when we meet with people, is they don't want to end up like their mom or dad or their grandma or grandpa. And speaking from experience, something I decided at a very young age. My dad smoked cigarettes as long as I can remember, probably his whole life. And my grandma as well, she smoked cigarettes and she developed lung cancer when I was very young. And she passed away when I was about 12 years old. And so ever since I was a little boy, I knew I don't want to end up like that. Like, I don't want to be like my dad. I don't want to be like my grandma and, smoke cigarettes and die younger than I should. I want to be more healthy and not do those things. So your kids, even though you may not know it, they are making these decisions on whether or not they want to end up in, be following your footsteps or steer in a different direction. And I think as a parent, you definitely want to be the type of person that is leading by example and whose kids want to grow up being just like mom and dad, because they are kind of your superhero. So that's what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, I think it really starts with when the kids are very young. There's a saying where they don't listen to what you tell them, they just mimic whatever you do. So that's honestly a really good way to keep yourself honest, is if your kid starts, first couple of words out of their mouth are swear words, it's like, probably shouldn't swear so much, because they want to start mimicking you. That's who they're learning from, because you're spending the majority of their time is with a parent, one or the other, or both. So they're really like a sponge at that age. They're just soaking up everything from their environment, right? So whether it's how you react with other people, how your social interactions are, and then when it comes down to your health and your fitness, whether you're prioritizing getting exercise in, like the kids pick up on that and then they get interested if you're doing it. If you make them do it, then they might not want to, but they will naturally start to at least become interested and then maybe follow in your footsteps that way, just by mimicking whatever you're doing. But if you're sitting at home watching TV, eating ding dongs and little Hostess Little Debbies, then they're going to be mimicking that. They'll be right along with you because, like you said, like kids look up to their parents more than anyone else.
Yeah, I can't even I feel like almost all of my clients that have come in have said I'm here because my parents have lived a super unhealthy lifestyle and have had heart issues, diabetes, have passed away, whatever it is. And they don't want to be like that. And I just can't imagine, I'm pregnant right now and I can't imagine my kid saying, I do not want to be like my mom. That just literally sucks so bad if you don't want to be like your parents. And thankfully I grew up with my mom was super into health and fitness, not her whole entire life, but when she was pregnant with my brother. So I was about 5 years old, which is when you really start learning. So thankfully I grew up around her, working out at home every single morning at 5 a.m. before she would go into work. And she's actually the person that I went to when I wanted to start working out kind of after I got out of sports in high school and I got into college. And I literally worked out with her upstairs in our bonus room. And it sucked for a little while, but then eventually I learned to love it. And then she also eventually followed her passion of teaching group fitness classes, which inspired me to switch my major from nursing to exercise science so that I could be here today. And so I'm just very grateful that I grew up with that type of influence, and I definitely want to be like that for my kids. So I'm starting now before they're even here, taking care of myself, learning about how I can teach them even from a very young age how to be healthy, how to listen to their bodies when it comes to eating and stuff like that. I'm just very passionate about, because I also had my grandpa and my uncle both pass away from lung cancer from smoking and not having a great diet, not exercising. And so those are things that I don't want to do. I want to be around for my kids' lives. I want to be around for my grandkids and even my great grandkids maybe. So
Yeah. So you literally kind of followed your mom's footsteps,
Yeah.
because she kind of inspired you to become a trainer, and now
Mhm.
you're helping people, which
Yep.
is very, very cool. And so your mom probably didn't start working out until she was maybe in her 30s.
Yeah, she had me when she was 27 or 28, and my brother is 5 years younger than me.
So she didn't,
was,
so it's never too late to start. That's another powerful thing, is like, just because you don't know all the lifestyle habits you need, you maybe don't eat very healthy or you don't work out, doesn't mean it's not too late. I just posted a video of my mom doing a 100-pound deadlift for the first time ever at, I shouldn't say her age on here because she might get mad at me. But, basically the moral of the story is she didn't start working out until she was in her 50s. She's been training and doing classes for 7 years, basically as long as I have been. She's been working out here, and she just now started doing some like barbell lifting. So she's adopting new things, and it's kind of cool because I'm able to inspire her. I'm kind of leading by example at this point. But part of that is because, my parents were really good examples for me as far as working really hard and kind of working for what you want to have. So I unfortunately did have to learn on my own how to become healthy and fit, but through that I was able to kind of help them start to realize that, oh, health and fitness is a really important aspect. So what you might not realize is all these parents that are coming in here and bringing their kids, they're getting really into fitness as well. And then you guys can feed off each other, and it becomes a family oriented thing. And it makes it so much easier, because another one of the most common things we hear is like, oh, I can't eat healthy because my kids don't eat healthy. And that's a very, very painful thing for us to swallow, because your kids definitely need to be eating healthy along with you. So if you're going to be starting to take care of yourself and lead by example, you need to make sure that, they're going to eventually follow whatever you do. There's no way that a kid is going to starve themselves. They might hate it for a day or two, but they eventually will just start to kind of follow and start to do whatever you do, like these two said. So the biggest thing is just getting started with it. No matter how old you are, no matter how old your kids are, start making the changes, and I think you will influence and start to see changes throughout your whole family. We've seen it time and time again with not just the moms, not just the dads, but both the mom and the dad and the kids, and it's amazing to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my story is more of like a reverse. I got into health and fitness and saw what it was able to do for myself, and then I obviously became a trainer, and then eventually I got my mom to start eating better, focusing. Like, I used to cook a lot more than I do now. Now I just kind of meal prep one day a week, and I don't really cook much, but I used to try out all these different recipes so I could at least have healthier foods that I could cook for my parents a couple times a week. So that was one way that I kind of started out with it. It wasn't like we're going on this super strict diet and my family can't have anything else, or we have to throw out all the junk food that's in the house. It's still there. We still have bags of chips and candy in the basement, which I really don't like it there, but it's there. And just incorporating the little habits day in and day out that can help to get your family on board, whether it's if maybe you want to make the change but your spouse is they don't want to change. They haven't seen their family go through a chronic disease or anything like I have, or I'm sure we all have. I don't know if there really is anyone who hasn't seen like a friend or a family member go through having diabetes, cancer, heart disease, going through a heart attack, or even just a climb at the end of life, and maybe even having their life cut short, and knowing that it was from your lifestyle habits and that they didn't really take care of themselves, and that knowing that they could have prevented it, that's what really spurs people into action. That's, when kids grow up, they end up realizing that. Obviously, when they're first growing, they don't realize what the habits that they're doing, how it's going to impact their later life, their life down the road. And then they hit a certain age where we have people coming in being like, I don't want to be like my parents. I don't want to end up, in a hospital bed, or end up with type 2 diabetes and having to have insulin shots all the time. So it's a very powerful motivator for anyone. So whether it's from the kid's perspective or the parent's perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, and kind of going back to like what Taylor said about like your kids not wanting to eat healthy. I mean, you have to start, and if you haven't done this, like he said, it's not too late to reverse it, but if you can kind of start this at a young age, like your kids are going to like whatever you feed them from a young age. Like I've experienced this, I've nannied multiple different families, and it's funny to see like the kids who have been fed healthy foods from the time they could eat solid foods are great eaters. They eat healthy foods, they eat awesome. And then the kids who were just given kind of like mac and cheese and hot dogs every single day are the picky eaters, are the ones who don't like vegetables because their taste buds aren't used to those things. So if you can, you need to start it from an early age. And I'm not saying you can never give your kids mac and cheese and hot dogs, but that just can't be like their every single day diet. Like you just need to kind of force them to eat the healthy things, and they will like it. Like our taste buds change. What is it? It takes how many?
Like a week, about 7 days. So if you ate something for about a week, your taste buds will actually kind of adjust to it. And a lot of people, they won't notice this so much when they start eating something, but when they quit eating or drinking something specifically, and then they have it again. So I always use the example with like pop drinkers. So if you quit drinking pop for a while and then you have one, it's overwhelmingly sweet. And it's almost like you don't even like the taste because your taste buds adjusted to just drinking water or whatever it was, and you're not used to having all that sugar every day. So then when you have it again, it's like overwhelmingly powerful. I've heard so many people say that, like, oh, I quit drinking pop for 60 days and then I had one and I didn't even like it. And it's like, yes, it's because you adjusted your taste buds. So, you could give your kids a healthy meal and they might hate it once, but eventually they're going to eat it and they probably would even like it. I can remember not liking so many vegetables and fruits growing up. And then as I learned more about the importance of nutritious foods, and once I started going to college for personal training, I knew I need to start eating these things. So slowly incorporating more and more. And now I love most fruits and vegetables and healthy foods. And it's just because it's a combination of just trying it consistently and knowing why you're eating it. So if I was a parent, I would be explaining like, hey, we're eating this because it's nourishing your body so that you can grow up to be strong and healthy and fit and, and live more energy, whatever. Try to tie it to an outcome. Like if you eat these healthy foods, you're going to grow up to be strong and fast and healthy and things like that. Try to get them to understand why they're doing it, not just putting it in front of them like, you have to eat this and eat it all or whatever. Like, so.
Yeah. Developing their, I guess, nutritional awareness is going to be so big, especially moving forward, just because there's so many kids. I mean, I know that there's some programs in school that, they might, like My Plate was a big thing when I was growing up, and they had like a couple of presentations on it. But honestly, it didn't sink in at that age because it was one time, right? So it's like you think, oh, okay, yeah, I'm supposed to eat more fruits and vegetables, and you got to get your palm-sized serving of protein at each meal, but you forget about it when you're a kid. It's like, okay, next day everything goes back to the way it was. So it's more of like on the parents or anyone else who's around the child a lot to start to instill those types of eating behaviors, ways of thinking about food, of like, hey, this is nourishing your body. This is going to help you grow up and be stronger. A lot of kids are in sports, so using that as a motivator of like, hey, if you eat a little bit more protein and a little bit less junk food, then you're going to be better at sports. And, just doing those sorts of things. Or maybe it's they're very academic, say, hey, like this is going to help with brain function, getting them interested, getting them motivated internally, because obviously kids are different with what they like. Some kids are more athletically inclined, some people are more, academic, and just kind of tying that to whatever their goal is going to make them more motivated to want to eat healthier or exercise or whatever healthy habits that you want them to have.
Yeah. And I just real quick, like speaking of academics, like exercise and working out is one of the best things you can do for your brain. So memory retention, cognitive function. So like the rate at which you can, remember things, read things, retain information and stuff. So, it's really funny because a common thing that I heard, like with college kids, for example, is like they don't have time to work out because they're so busy studying. And the thing is you could study all day long, but if you were to change that up a little bit and study for shorter blocks with breaks where you were moving your body, going for a walk or working out, you study half the time, but you're going to retain just as much, if not more, information that you're learning because you're getting the body moving. It's boosting your memory, your brain function, your cognitive function. So moving and exercising while you're going through school or college specifically is actually the best thing that you can do for getting better grades and improving your memory and just overall schoolwork, stuff like that.
Just speaking of that, when I learned that, I actually, like if I had an exam in college, I would get up and even just do like a workout in my apartment, like a body weight workout, just like get my heart rate up a little bit. And I swear, like it helped me just, first of all, be more awake for an 8 a.m. or a 9 a.m. exam. And I did a lot better like when I started doing that and just was more awake, more alert, more focused. And so, yeah, that's definitely true.
Yeah, for sure. Then another thing, like speaking of athletes, is I can't believe how many athletes that we work with where I'll just ask them like, hey, what do you typically eat? And a lot of them don't even eat a breakfast or it'll be like cereal, which is what I ate growing up. And I slept first hour every single hour my senior year because I'd eat cereal, spike my sugar, and then crash as soon as I got to school. And there was no nutritional value to cereal. It's just pure sugar pretty much. And so many kids still do that, or they'll skip breakfast and then they eat lunch and then, they'll go and eat a dinner and that's about it. And their performance is dramatically declined when they're not getting the nourishment that they need, especially when they're practicing and doing school and probably lifting at school or whatever it may be. They need to be fueled properly. And it all comes back to starting with the parent. Like, you need to be the one that starts to do these things and be the example, and they will pick up on it.
Yeah. That's all I have.
That's all you guys got? Okay. Well, that's a pretty short one today. Like what I just said, though, the bottom line is, do you want to be the parent whose kid grows up kind of following your footsteps and wanting to be like that when they get older, as far as their health and fitness and wellness and their habits go? Or do you want to be the parent to where at some point in their life, they are going to get to a point to where they need to make changes and they're going to seek out help to make those changes? We are literally the people that help these, even from a young age. Like, we have high schoolers and college students that are working with us because they have a parent or a relative that is extremely unhealthy and they don't want to end up like that. Mm-hmm. So parents, you really just need to ask yourself, are you doing the necessary things day in and day out? Your lifestyle habits, your sleep, your water, your nutrition, your exercise. Are you doing those things to lead by example for your kid or not? And the simple answer is, if you're not, doing that and they're not following your footsteps, start just taking a little bit of action to make them see that you're making the effort to eat better and move and exercise. Get them to learn the importance of that. That is just something that in our society we are not taught. We're not taught enough about proper nutrition, exercise, overall health. And speaking of, the last couple of years should have been a very powerful indicator of the importance, with the COVID pandemic. If you think about 95% of the people that actually died from it had predisposed diseases, were very unhealthy people. So right now is the best time to start basically taking care of yourself, learning more about the importance of health and fitness and how you can implement these habits into your life, especially for your kids, because at some point or another, they are going to get to a point to where they need to make changes and they're going to seek out help. And it might as well be from you guys at a very young age, you, the parent. That is my biggest hope for a lot of parents anyways. Like, just relating it back to when I was growing up, it has nothing to do with necessarily health and fitness, but something that my dad showed me growing up is, he was a very hard worker. We did a lot of tasks around the house, fixing things and putting things together, building stuff. And I watched it. And by the time I was 12 years old or a teenager, I could do construction. I could take a motor out of my motorcycle and put it back in by myself when I was 12 years old, just from observing things from my dad. So moral of the story is your kids are watching you, and you might as well be that positive influence and teaching them the discipline and work ethic and the importance of health and fitness as well. It's one of those big things. So that's all for today, guys. Hopefully this helps you. Hopefully it gets your brain thinking, and maybe you can start incorporating some more healthy habits into your lifestyle. Obviously, if you need help doing that, that's what we're here for. We teach people how to live a healthy and fit lifestyle, and we hold them accountable to it and slowly help them incorporate it into their lifestyle. So until next time, make sure you stay healthy. Make sure you like and subscribe so you can see the future videos, and stay healthy. Bye.